January 1943, the world mourned the passing of Nikola Tesla, the man who had illuminated the 20th century and inspired dreams of the 21st. In a quiet New York archive, drawers were opened and boxes carefully examined. Among the familiar papers and patents, archivists discovered folders of documents and sketches that no one had seen before. Rumors had long whispered about Tesla's secret experiments, a weapon, a boundless source of energy, a technology that could have changed the course of history. And now, in the dim light of the archive, those whispers seemed almost real.
These are things no one has touched in decades, a young archivist murmured, flipping through fragile pages. Could this be what people were always talking about?
Among the sketches were diagrams of strange devices, notes in Tesla's meticulous handwriting, and cryptic annotations about wireless transmission of power and rays that could destroy or illuminate. Memoirs and letters later claimed that even the FBI regarded these documents with cautious curiosity. The line between legend and fact blurred. Was this genius' final gift, or just fragments of obsessive imagination?
Whatever he created, it might change everything we know, whispered a historian examining the papers. Or it might be nothing more than notes of a brilliant, lonely mind.
Edison, long gone, seemed to watch from the past through letters and patents, a shadow of pragmatism over the fantastical visions of his rival. His enduring legacy reminded the world that results, application, and timing often outweighed inspiration. Yet even in his meticulously documented achievements, hints of admiration for Tesla's audacity lingered, like a quiet acknowledgement of the power of imagination over mere practice. Archivists debated which documents to release, aware that history might never fully understand the scope of Tesla's mind. Some notes hinted at experiments that, if real, could have supplied free energy to cities. Others hinted at terrifying devices with military implications. As newspapers caught wind of the discovery, speculative headlines hinted at death rays and Tesla's secret inventions, igniting curiosity and fear alike.
Do we tell the world, or keep it hidden? Asked a colleague uneasy. Some of these ideas, they feel dangerous, even unfinished.
Among the whispers, one thing was clear. Tesla's legacy was no longer just the alternating current that had transformed the globe. It had become a puzzle, a myth, a spark that refused to die. And in that spark, the story of two men, genius and pragmatism, converged, leaving a mystery that would endure long after their deaths. The last spark had been found, but its truth remained veiled. The morning sun streamed through the high windows of the New York archive, cutting shafts of light through decades of dust. Rows of boxes and folders stretched endlessly, silent witnesses to a forgotten history. Archivists moved cautiously, aware that they were handling not just paper, but fragments of a mind that had once dared to dream of changing the world. Among the familiar patents and letters, a set of documents caught their eyes. Delicate, yellowed, and handwritten in Tesla's precise, elegant script. Each line, each curve of ink seemed to hum with energy, as if the inventor himself lingered in the room, observing every touch.
These sketches, whispered a young archivist, her voice trembling with awe. Look at the coils, the spirals. It's unlike anything I've ever seen. Could he have actually built these?
The documents revealed a mixture of technical brilliance and almost mystical vision. Circular coils, dense with tightly wound wire, were annotated with numbers and angles that suggested precision far beyond his time. Notes on energy transmission leapt across the pages in flowing cursive, hinting at the possibility of sending electricity invisibly, without wires, to power cities. Interspersed among these designs were cryptic symbols and remarks, like concentration of energy or beam of force, which later fueled rumors of Tesla's so-called death rays.
If even a fraction of this is real, said an elderly historian, leaning over the fragile papers, then Tesla's mind was not just genius. It was something else entirely, something the world may never fully grasp.
Archivists noted subtle clues in the handwriting, corrections, underlined words, and repeated calculations. Memoirs of Tesla's assistant suggested that he often abandoned experiments not due to failure, but because he feared the consequences of misuse. Some researchers speculated that these notes were deliberately left incomplete, a trail of riddles for a future daring enough to follow. Others argued that they reflected the obsessive nature of a mind always chasing what seemed impossible. Ideas abandoned mid-flight, yet still humming with potential.
Every page feels alive, murmured another archivist, brushing the dust from an intricate diagram. It's as if he anticipated someone would discover this decades later, someone who could understand or misinterpret.
The tension in the room thickened with each page turned. Discussions arose. Were these papers fragments of a visionary's final experiments, or the obsessive scribbles of a genius who lived too far ahead of his era? The archivists found themselves caught between wonder and fear. One diagram suggested a method to transmit energy across continents. Another hinted at a device capable of producing a concentrated beam of power. Memoirs and press reports, already swirling with tales of Tesla's secret inventions, seemed to come alive in that moment.
The implications, whispered the historian, voice almost a whisper, are unimaginable. If someone tried to build this today, we don't even know what could happen.
Parallel to the examination of Tesla's notes, letters from Edison and his protégés reminded the archivists of another kind of genius. Pragmatic, practical, and enduring. Edison's inventions had lit cities and powered industries, grounded firmly in reality. Yet in the quiet of the archive, the contrast was palpable. Vision versus execution, imagination versus application, legend versus fact. The room seemed to vibrate with the echo of their rivalry, a silent conversation across time between two men whose lives and ideas had shaped the modern world.
It's not just science, the young archivist said softly, eyes fixed on a page. It's a glimpse into his mind. A mind that never slept, never rested, always reaching beyond the possible.
As the day wore on, the archivists documented each note and sketch, photographing coils, annotating margins, and transcribing Tesla's words. Outside the archive, the city moved unaware of the secrets resting in forgotten drawers. Inside, the boundary between history and legend blurred. Tesla's last spark, a vision of a world powered by unseen energy, tinged with danger and wonder, glimmered faintly under the light, waiting for someone to understand it, to chase it, or perhaps to fear it. As the archivists delved deeper, the air seemed to thrum with anticipation. Pages revealed designs for projects that had never been realized, devices that could channel energy across vast distances, mechanisms that shimmered on paper like they might defy the laws of physics. Some notes were painstakingly labeled with dates and calculations. Others were cryptic, almost poetic, hinting at principles only Tesla himself could fully comprehend. According to memoirs, Tesla had often worked at night, alone in his laboratory, whispering to his machines as though they could answer back.
These sketches, they're not just diagrams, whispered the youngest archivist, leaning closer. They feel like messages. Messages for the future, from someone who knew the world wasn't ready for him yet.
Stories from Tesla's contemporaries painted a man whose vision was as brilliant as it was isolating. He was described as obsessive, sometimes to the point of ritual, repeating calculations, arranging objects symmetrically, and walking in precise patterns to stimulate thought. Some memoirs claimed he could visualize entire machines in his mind, assembling, testing, and running them without ever touching a single component. Others hinted at a darker side, frustration, paranoia, and the quiet fear that others might misuse his creations.
He imagined energy like it was alive, recalled a former assistant. He would speak to it, argue with it, sometimes even scold it. And strangely, it seemed to respond.
The archivists paused at a particular set of documents, blueprints annotated with the words "World System" and "Safety First." According to one biography, Tesla had envisioned a way to transmit energy to any point on Earth, freely and safely. Rumors, amplified by journalists and later enthusiasts, transformed these sketches into tales of impossible weapons and secret power grids. Some scientists dismissed these claims. Others, recalling Tesla's track record, approached them with cautious respect.
If someone attempted to build even one of these, said the archivist, voice trembling, we don't know if it would light the world or destroy it.
Amidst the papers were letters from Edison, long past, yet echoing in memory. They revealed a man pragmatic and industrious, whose achievements shaped the practical world. The archivists could almost hear the silent debate, Edison's methodical pragmatism against Tesla's visionary audacity. Where Edison built what society could use, Tesla imagined what it might someday need or fear.
Tesla and Edison, muttered the historian, flipping through aged correspondence. One man measured the world with devices. The other measured it with imagination. Both changed everything, but in ways the world could not yet fully see.
Rumors about Tesla's secret weapons had circulated even before his death. Memoirs described shadowy meetings with officials, guarded experiments, and cryptic comments about defensive inventions. Whether these were exaggerations, misinterpretations, or deliberate concealments, they added layers to the myth that surrounded him. The archivists felt it themselves. Every note, every sketch, pulled them into a narrative that was part fact, part legend, and wholly compelling.
History may never separate truth from myth, said the youngest archivist softly. But in these pages, the man himself still speaks, and we must listen carefully.
By the end of the day, the archivists had cataloged hundreds of documents, photographs, and sketches. Each discovery deepened the mystery. A genius whose inventions touched the modern world, yet whose most daring ideas remained a tantalizing enigma. Tesla's mind, as alive in memory as it had ever been in flesh, seemed to hover just beyond reach, daring the world to catch up. Night had fallen over New York, yet inside the archive, the lights burned bright, casting stark shadows over piles of Tesla's papers. Every folder seemed alive, every page a whisper from the past. Among the documents were personal journals, letters to friends, and detailed sketches that never saw the light of day. The archivists worked methodically, aware that each discovery was a thread in the complex tapestry of a man whose life had been both celebrated and misunderstood.
Look at this one, said a young archivist, pointing to a set of diagrams for a large circular device. He called it the global resonator. Memoirs mention it, but no one ever thought it existed in this form.
According to historical accounts, Tesla had dreamed of a system that could wirelessly transmit energy across the globe. Some contemporaries considered it impossible, even reckless. Yet here, in his precise annotations, was the blueprint, meticulously calculated, with every angle and coil noted as if the future itself depended on it. Among the archivists, excitement mixed with apprehension.
If this had been built in his lifetime, murmured the historian, eyes wide, the world might have been entirely different. Wars, industry, energy, everything.
Beyond the technical brilliance, there were glimpses of Tesla the man. Notes to friends revealed his loneliness, his obsession with perfection, and the fear that some discoveries were too dangerous for the world. Memoirs claimed he often spoke of a responsibility that came with knowledge, a duty to protect humanity even from his own ideas. The archivists felt the weight of that burden, as if Tesla's presence lingered in the room, silent but watchful.
He feared misuse, said the young archivist softly, tracing a coil with her finger. Some of these diagrams, they could be weapons, or salvation. He didn't want us to decide hastily.
Parallel to these revelations were letters and patent records of Edison, reminders of a different kind of genius. Edison's approach had always been pragmatic. Invention as tool, utility as goal. Tesla, in contrast, pursued ideals that transcended immediate practicality. The archivists couldn't help but feel the tension between these two worlds. One, grounded in the tangible, the other reaching for the intangible.
Edison measured the world with devices, said the historian, fingers hovering over old letters, Tesla. He measured it with dreams, and sometimes dreams are dangerous.
Among the papers, some pages bore curious symbols and mathematical notations that defied easy interpretation. Memoirs hinted that Tesla sometimes recorded concepts he wasn't ready to reveal, ideas that could only be understood decades later, or perhaps never. Some researchers argued that this was a deliberate form of secrecy, a protective measure to ensure his inventions weren't misused. Others suspected it reflected the nature of a mind always chasing horizons beyond reach.
It's like he left puzzles for the future, murmured the archivist. Riddles hidden in diagrams, waiting for someone daring enough or foolish enough to solve them.
By midnight, the archive felt like a cathedral of thought, filled with the echoes of ambition, brilliance, and isolation. Tesla's life, once a series of bold experiments and lonely nights, now spoke across time through the papers and sketches. His legacy was not just in the electricity that lit the cities or the patents that paved industries, but in these shadows of ideas, unfinished, enigmatic, and shimmering with possibility. The last spark of the genius flickered faintly, teasing the world with a mystery that had survived decades, waiting for someone to uncover the truth. Morning light barely touched the corners of the archive as the team continued their careful examination of Tesla's papers. Each folder seemed heavier than the last, filled not only with ink and paper, but with the weight of untold possibilities. The documents hinted at projects that spanned the fantastical and the terrifying. Machines that could manipulate energy, devices capable of transmitting force without wires, and notes alluding to inventions never witnessed by human eyes. Memoirs suggested Tesla often imagined consequences far beyond what others considered, and these pages were a testament to that vision.
Look at this, whispered a young archivist, holding a folded diagram carefully. It's labeled directed energy system. Memoirs mention it, but seeing it here feels unreal.
According to some accounts, Tesla had envisioned such systems for both defense and peaceful energy distribution. Journalists and conspiracists later transformed these designs into tales of secret weapons and death rays. Some researchers doubted their feasibility. Others could not ignore Tesla's meticulous calculations and long record of achievements that once seemed impossible. As the archivists examined the sketches, the tension between wonder and unease deepened.
If this had existed in the right hands, muttered the historian, eyes tracing intricate circuits, we might be looking at a world that never experienced energy scarcity, or a world in conflict far beyond imagination.
Intertwined with these technical notes were letters revealing the man behind the genius. Tesla wrote of isolation, of sleepless nights spent reasoning through the impossible, and of a deep fear that some creations were too dangerous for society. According to memoirs, he often warned that human curiosity, when combined with his inventions, could lead to catastrophe. The archivists could almost feel his presence, a shadow of a man torn between brilliance and responsibility.
He carried his inventions like a secret burden, murmured the archivist, flipping through pages. Part wonder, part warning. He trusted the world to discover them carefully, if at all.
Contrasted against Tesla's ethereal vision were the pragmatic letters of Edison. Edison's legacy was one of tangible inventions, industries transformed, and societies electrified. Tesla's ideas reached beyond immediate utility, aiming for what society might never dare to imagine. The archivists felt the silent echo of their rivalry, as if two epochs of genius had converged in this quiet room.
Edison sought results, said the historian, carefully noting dates. Tesla sought the extraordinary. Both changed the world, but only one left riddles that could haunt decades after death.
Among the notes were schematics labeled with phrases like global transmission and force concentration unit. Memoirs suggested that Tesla had begun these projects, abandoned them, or hidden them deliberately to prevent misuse. The line between secrecy, paranoia, and foresight blurred, leaving the archivists in a state of awe and unease. Each paper hinted at a brilliance that could illuminate or devastate.
It's as if he left clues, whispered the youngest archivist. Puzzles scattered across decades, messages that challenge us or warn us.
By the day's end, the archive had become a silent theater of discovery. Tesla's last spark, ideas both wondrous and dangerous, glimmered in the dim light, teasing the world with questions it may never fully answer. The documents were more than paper. They were a conversation across time between genius and humanity, between possibility and prudence. And somewhere in the quiet, the archivists felt the faint pulse of an unfinished legacy, a challenge lingering just out of reach. Weeks passed, and the archive became a sanctuary of Tesla's genius, each day unveiling new fragments of a mind that never rested. Among the yellowed pages, one set of diagrams drew particular attention. A complex arrangement of coils, capacitors, and what appeared to be a transmission device, unlike anything previously recorded. The archivists whispered among themselves, half in excitement, half in disbelief. According to some accounts, Tesla had dreamed of a world powered invisibly, with energy flowing freely, untethered by wires, yet carefully controlled to prevent disaster.
These schematics, they're more than theoretical, said the youngest archivist, tracing her finger along the spirals. If built, they could change everything we understand about power distribution.
Memoirs describe Tesla's obsession with precision, his fear that even minor errors could have catastrophic consequences. Some contemporaries called him eccentric, others a visionary, but all acknowledged that his mind worked in patterns few could follow. The archivists noticed repeated calculations, notes in margins warning of instability, and cryptic symbols whose meanings were lost to time. One historian speculated that Tesla had encoded instructions only he could decipher, a final safeguard against misuse.
He wasn't just creating machines, said the historian, eyes fixed on the diagrams. He was building a philosophy, a way to interact with the world that transcended our understanding.
Contrasting Tesla's ethereal vision were reminders of Edison's pragmatic empire. Edison's inventions illuminated cities and industries, leaving tangible legacies. Tesla, in contrast, left blueprints for possibilities that challenged the very fabric of physics and imagination. The archivists felt a tension between the achievable and the aspirational, between reality and dreams, suspended in paper and ink.
Imagine if he had shared these ideas openly, murmured the archivist. Would humanity have been ready, or would it have led to chaos?
Among the documents were personal letters revealing Tesla's inner world, reflections on solitude, a yearning for understanding, and an unwavering commitment to discovery. He often expressed anxiety that his inventions could be misused for harm, a fear that had guided him to conceal parts of his work. Memoirs suggest he believed the world was not ready, and perhaps never would be, to wield such power responsibly. Every page echoed with both brilliance and caution.
He feared humanity might destroy itself with what he created, the historian whispered. Yet he also hoped someone would understand, someday.
In one corner of the archive, the archivists found faded newspaper clippings reporting Tesla's death, mixed with stories of Edison's relentless pursuit of practical invention. The contrast was stark. Edison, celebrated and commercially successful. Tesla, revered but enigmatic, his most radical ideas hidden in shadow. The archivists felt a shiver, as if they had stepped into the threshold between legend and reality. Every sketch, every annotation, seemed to hum with the tension of possibilities that could never fully be realized, yet demanded contemplation.
It's a puzzle, whispered the young archivist, a final spark left behind, daring us to piece it together.
As evening fell, the archivists left the archive, carrying with them both documents and a profound sense of wonder. Tesla's legacy was more than his inventions. It was the challenge he left, the unanswered questions, the delicate balance of brilliance and caution. The last spark flickered in the dimming light, teasing the world with possibilities that remained tantalizingly out of reach, waiting for those daring enough to seek understanding. The following week, the archivists uncovered a set of documents that had been stored in a locked cabinet, yellowed and fragile with age. The labels were cryptic: unrealized projects, private correspondence, and contingency designs. One folder contained letters between Tesla and unknown recipients. Their ink faded, but the passion in the words still unmistakable. According to memoirs, Tesla had confided only in a handful of trusted colleagues, often expressing both hope and fear for the future of his inventions.
These letters, they almost read like warnings, said a young archivist, holding a delicate sheet. He speaks of power that could protect or destroy, depending on who wields it.
Some of the correspondence hinted at secret experiments, attempts to transmit energy without wires, devices that could manipulate electromagnetic fields, and even mentions of what memoirs later sensationalized as the death ray. Historians debated whether Tesla ever pursued such a weapon, or if the idea was blown out of proportion. Yet the meticulous calculations suggested that he had considered the possibilities in serious detail. The archivists felt the gravity of holding knowledge that could have reshaped the world, or endangered it.
He was always balancing brilliance with caution, whispered the historian, leaning over the table. Every note is a testament to his genius and his fear.
Alongside these letters were diagrams for devices that could transmit signals across continents, control machines remotely, and even store massive amounts of energy. Memoirs described Tesla pacing his laboratory at night, envisioning the entire system in his mind, visualizing every coil and spark before committing it to paper. Some of the schematics were annotated with dates far into the future, suggesting he believed his ideas would only be fully understood long after his lifetime. The archivists felt a chill, a connection to a man whose vision stretched beyond decades into an era they could barely imagine.
It's like he was sending messages to the future, whispered the archivist, eyes wide. Hints hidden in plain sight, waiting for the right minds to discover them.
The archivists also found letters referencing Edison, reflecting a complicated legacy of rivalry, respect, and contrasting philosophies. While Edison focused on practical applications and immediate results, Tesla dreamed of a world transformed by ideas that transcended the present. Memoirs painted Tesla as solitary yet determined, often misunderstood, yet unwavering in his pursuit of discovery. The document seemed to pulse with the silent echo of that rivalry. A conversation across time between two giants of industry and intellect.
Edison gave the world what it could use, said the historian, scanning a folded diagram. Tesla offered what the world might need, if it were ready.
Among the papers were also personal notes revealing Tesla's reflections on human nature, the ethics of invention, and the weight of knowledge. Memoirs suggest he feared misuse as much as failure, believing that understanding the consequences of innovation was as important as creating the innovation itself. His handwriting, precise and elegant, carried a sense of both urgency and serenity, a mind racing ahead while grounded in caution. The archivists read on, feeling the tension between ambition and responsibility that defined Tesla's life.
He left us a puzzle, whispered the archivist, her voice trembling slightly. A spark, a challenge, to decipher what is safe and what might be too dangerous.
As dusk approached, the archivists realized that the documents were more than historical artifacts. They were fragments of a mind that sought to illuminate the world while protecting it from itself. Tesla's last spark, though dimmed by time, still shone with mystery and brilliance, daring those who discovered it to walk the fine line between revelation and peril. The legacy of his genius lingered in every page, every coil, every cryptic annotation, a testament to a life spent chasing the extraordinary and leaving the world both inspired and mystified. The following days brought an even more astonishing discovery. Buried beneath layers of correspondence and patents, the archivists found a series of notebooks bound in worn leather. Each page contained detailed instructions, diagrams, and formulas that hinted at inventions Tesla had never publicly disclosed. According to memoirs, these were ideas he had considered too advanced, too dangerous, or simply too ahead of their time.
Look at this, said a young archivist, holding a notebook carefully. These sketches, they aren't just theoretical. They suggest practical experiments he never dared to attempt.
Among the diagrams were references to wireless transmission systems, capable of supplying energy across continents, devices that could amplify natural frequencies, and cryptic notations regarding unknown forces. Memoirs and rumors later transformed these into legends of death rays and energy weapons, feeding speculation about Tesla's secret power. The archivists felt a mix of awe and apprehension. Could these inventions have changed history if realized? Or were they impossible abstractions of a brilliant, restless mind?
He was walking the line between genius and madness, said the historian, eyes scanning the pages. Every line of ink carries both hope and warning.
The notebooks also contained personal reflections, Tesla's thoughts on human ambition, the responsibilities of inventors, and the delicate balance between progress and ethics. Memoirs suggested he often feared that humanity was not ready for the full extent of his discoveries. He wrote of the burden of knowledge, of sleepless nights spent calculating possibilities, and of the loneliness that accompanied true innovation. The archivists felt the weight of these words as if Tesla himself had left a silent instruction: to understand, respect, and proceed with caution.
He wanted to protect the world, murmured the archivist, tracing a formula with her finger. Not just from himself, but from others who might misuse his ideas.
In contrast, Edison's legacy echoed pragmatism and immediate application. While Tesla's thoughts reached toward the future, embracing both wonder and risk, Edison had focused on what could be realized and sold in the present. This contrast became palpable to the archivists, a dialogue across decades between two approaches to genius. One idealistic, one utilitarian. The tension of their philosophies seemed to linger in the air.
Edison gave the world what it could handle, said the historian, holding a patent sheet. Tesla gave the world what it might one day need, if it were ready.
Among the notes were cryptic references to forces not yet fully understood, and memoirs hint that Tesla sometimes recorded ideas in code to prevent premature exposure. Archivists realized they were piecing together fragments of a genius mind that had carefully balanced imagination with caution. Each page held a delicate dance between possibility and responsibility, and the weight of the discovery pressed upon them with every careful turn of a page.
It's like he left a final challenge, whispered the archivist. A spark, daring us to follow, but warning us not to rush.
By nightfall, the archive was quiet, but the aura of Tesla's last spark lingered. These notebooks were not just remnants of a life, but invitations into a mind that spanned the extraordinary and the perilous. The archivists left with both documents and questions, feeling that the legacy of the man who had changed the world was far from fully revealed. Somewhere within these pages lay the boundary between legend and reality, waiting for the bold, the curious, and the diligent to discover it. The archive had become a labyrinth of Tesla's mind, each corridor lined with papers, sketches, and encrypted notes. Among the piles, one folder stood out, worn and fragile, labeled simply, "Contingency Plans." Memoirs hinted that Tesla had anticipated misuses of his inventions, and these pages seemed to confirm it. The archivists exchanged glances, knowing they were about to uncover something both delicate and dangerous.
These are precautions, whispered the young archivist, fingers trembling. He didn't just invent, he planned for what could go wrong.
Contained within were diagrams detailing failsafe mechanisms, notes on shielding energy, and coded warnings about experiments that should never be replicated without proper understanding. Memoirs described Tesla as obsessed with preventing catastrophe, a man haunted by both his own brilliance and the potential recklessness of others. Each page felt like a message across time. Use wisely or not at all. The archivists felt the weight of responsibility pressing on their shoulders.
He trusted no one fully, said the historian, voice low, scanning the intricate symbol. Not governments, not corporations, not even friends. Only careful minds could approach this safely.
In juxtaposition, Edison's legacy was fully public. A world electrified, industries transformed, and patents that shaped the modern age. Tesla, on the other hand, had left a puzzle, a mix of genius, secrecy, and moral consideration. The archivists realized that understanding Tesla's inventions meant understanding his philosophy, his fear, and his hope. Memoirs suggested he viewed knowledge as both a gift and a burden, a theme that echoed through every paper.
He wanted us to learn, whispered the archivist, holding a folded schematic close. But to do so responsibly, to think, not just to act.
The archivists also found letters referencing experiments with high-frequency currents and wireless transmission of energy over long distances. Memoirs speculated that Tesla had once tested prototypes in secrecy, observing effects that were as thrilling as they were alarming. Some notes hinted at controlling large-scale energy flows, others at experiments that could disrupt machines remotely. Each discovery deepened the mystery, the tension between what could be known and what should remain hidden.
He wasn't reckless, said the historian quietly. Every experiment, every formula, calculated with caution. That's why we are seeing the genius, not catastrophe.
Among these discoveries were references to Edison's methods and inventions, a subtle acknowledgement of the rivalry that shaped both men. Tesla's notes implied admiration intertwined with critique, respect mixed with a challenge, to think beyond utility, to envision possibilities that society might never embrace. The archivists felt the presence of two legacies in the room, one pragmatic, one visionary, converging in silent dialogue. The papers seemed to hum with an unfinished conversation that transcended decades.
It's as if they are talking to us, said the young archivist, eyes wide. Tesla through his caution, Edison through his pragmatism. A dialogue across time.
By nightfall, the archivists understood that they were standing at the edge of history, piecing together a mind that had always looked beyond the immediate, always imagined the impossible. Tesla's last spark flickered in the dim light, a challenge and a gift, a reminder that genius often carries burdens invisible to the world. And somewhere in the quiet, a question remained. Would humanity ever be ready to fully understand what had been left behind? The archive was silent, save for the faint rustle of pages as the archivists carefully examined the final notebooks. Each document seemed imbued with Tesla's spirit, a mixture of brilliance, caution, and unyielding curiosity. Memoirs had hinted that he believed invention carried a moral responsibility, and these pages confirmed it. The young archivists realized they were touching the culmination of a lifetime spent balancing genius with restraint.
He left everything. But he also left nothing complete, whispered the archivist, gently closing a notebook. It's a legacy and a challenge all at once.
Among the papers were final reflections, musings on humanity, letters to unseen recipients, and annotations warning of misuse. Memoirs described Tesla as haunted by the duality of invention, the power to elevate civilization or to imperil it. In contrast, Edison's achievements were tangible, celebrated, and widely replicated. Tesla's impact was subtler, hidden in ideas that teased the imagination, challenging the world to follow.
Edison gave us the light to see, said the historian, holding a patent. Tesla gave us the fire to imagine.
The archivists pieced together hints of experiments, some completed, others abandoned, and speculations that had grown into legend. Memoirs hinted at a death ray that never existed as described, and wireless energy that remained theoretical. Yet the passion in Tesla's handwriting, the precision in each coil and circuit, spoke to a man entirely devoted to exploration, unafraid of mystery, and respectful of consequences. The archivists felt a profound connection, a silent conversation across decades with a mind that never stopped seeking.
He dreamed of a world beyond wires and limits, murmured the archivist, and he trusted that someday someone would understand.
Even now, decades after Tesla's death, the questions remained. Could the world handle his vision? Were there hidden inventions capable of reshaping energy, communications, or even global infrastructure? The archivists felt the delicate tension between revelation and restraint, realizing that some knowledge was meant to be contemplated, not exploited. Tesla's last spark had illuminated a path, brilliant, dangerous, and ultimately unfinished.
"He left us a puzzle," said the historian, a hint of awe in his voice. "Not to solve carelessly, but to respect, to study, and perhaps to imagine."
As night fell over the archive, shadows stretched across the walls, and the flickering light seemed to echo Tesla's presence. Memoirs suggested he had always valued vision over recognition, daring over comfort, and discovery over fame. Edison's legacy had illuminated cities and industries, while Tesla's work illuminated possibilities, ideas that whispered to those willing to listen, to think beyond the visible, beyond the immediate. The archivists closed the last cabinet, leaving behind the echo of genius and the weight of untold potential.
"It's not over," whispered the young archivist. "The spark, it's still alive, waiting."
And so, the final spark remained, a whisper of brilliance, a challenge to humanity, and a reminder that some mysteries endure, suspended between legend and reality. Tesla's life, his inventions, and his cautionary genius left a mark that could not be erased. Edison and Tesla, in their rivalry and contrast, had shaped a world of light and possibility, of pragmatism and imagination, leaving behind lessons, legacies, and questions that would continue to ignite curiosity for generations to come.